And you can tell he's throwing shade directly at South Carolina, directly at Dawn Staley. Let's be honest. This will live in infamy forever. Now, Hoops fans today are reacting to a clip that's starting to make the rounds where he is savagely throwing shade. This will follow this coach around. We all know this is the meltdown, right? The F-bomb tirade meltdown on the side of the court. I'm still baffled.
Did you see what happened when Dawn Staley broke down crying with 14 minutes still left in the third quarter? The South Carolina coach, known for her mental toughness, was in tears while only down by 10 points against UConn. Even the announcers called it one of the softest things they'd seen in sports. But Geno Auriemma's post-game comments. That's where this story gets even crazier. He didn't just win the game. He fired shots that have the entire basketball world talking. Have you ever seen a basketball coach lose it completely when there's still plenty of game left?
You know, I mean, I see this. I'm like, I would think, number one, I think it's unprofessional to do it at any point, right? To let your team see you break down like this. As I let this play, I'm still baffled that this is, with time left in the third quarter, down by only 14. So weak and pathetic. But to do it with that kind of time left in the game is just a real shaking my head kind of moment.
That's exactly what happened with Dawn Staley, and it left everyone absolutely stunned. This wasn't just a coach showing some emotion. This was a full-on breakdown that nobody saw coming. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
I guess I shouldn't expect anything less from a race-grifting liberal. I mean, that's keeping as real as it gets right there. This person down here says losing to a straight white man was her worst nightmare. This guy right here said Dawn Staley crying when her team is down by 13 with over a quarter to go is one of the softest things I've seen in sports. I mean, you know, this is what happens. Dawn Staley went into the business of race grifting and race baiting, and she's going to get real fire when it doesn't go her way now.
What makes this so wild is that we're talking about Dawn Staley here. She's built her entire reputation on being mentally unshakable. The basketball world knows her as one of the toughest, most composed coaches in the game. But against UConn, all that went out the window when she broke down crying with a full 14 minutes still left in the third quarter. The craziest part? South Carolina was only down by 10 points. That's nothing in basketball. Teams erase 10-point deficits all the time. But there was Staely, tears streaming down her face, looking like the game was already over while her players were still battling on the court.
We will check out reaction. Hoops fans are reacting to this everywhere as this is now going viral. And it puts some things in perspective. So this leads us over to Geno right here. All right. He's going to say some words during this speech that are aimed directly at other schools, particularly South Carolina.
And we're downstairs. We're in like patio area. And I looked around and I started counting. And all the former players that was there at one time sitting like in a group like these guys, just hanging out.
You should have seen social media after that moment. Basketball Twitter exploded immediately. One of the most viral tweets perfectly captured what everybody was thinking. How you going to cry with a whole quarter left? That's showing your team you've already given up. Ouch. When your own fans are calling you out like that, you know it's bad. The camera shots made everything worse. On one side, you had Staely looking completely defeated, and on the other side was Geno Auriemma, cool as ice on the UConn bench. The contrast couldn't have been more dramatic. Geno looked like he was just casually coaching another day at the office, while Staely appeared to be falling apart. Former players and coaches didn't hold back either. Many of them jumped in to suggest that Staely had essentially thrown in the towel with way too much basketball left to play. For someone who literally preaches mental toughness to her players day in and day out, this moment felt completely out of character. What's really shocking about all this is Staely's history. She's the coach who's famous for telling her players to power through adversity.
I was watching, I was counting. And by the time I finished counting, let's see, there's Rebecca, she has one, and there's Jamel Elliott, she has one, and there's Jen Rosati, she has one. So all the guys that only had one, they had to sit like in the back of the bus. Most other places, if you win one national championship, they build a statue to you outside the building. And there's Sue, she has two, and then there's Jessica Moore, she has three, and then there's Stewie and Tuck, and they have four each.
She's written entire chapters about staying strong when things get tough. Yet in this moment, when her team needed that exact kind of leadership, she couldn't provide it. The battle between Staely and Auriemma wasn't over when the final buzzer sounded. It was just beginning. While Staely was still processing her emotions, Geno was crafting the perfect verbal knockout punch that would leave the basketball world stunned. Let me tell you something about Geno Auriemma. He's not just a coach, he's a psychological warfare specialist. After securing the victory, instead of just celebrating with his team, he went straight for South Carolina's jugular with a comment that shook the entire women's basketball landscape. Without ever mentioning Staely directly, he delivered this bomb. Most other places, if you win one national championship, they build a statue to you outside the building. Here, they won't even let you get to the front of the bus. That wasn't just a random comment. Geno was taking direct aim at South Carolina's celebration culture, specifically referencing their statue of Aja Wilson after a single championship. Meanwhile, UConn legends with multiple championships don't get the same treatment. The contrast couldn't be clearer or more devastating to Staley's program. The numbers make Geno's point even sharper: 12 championships for Auriemma versus just 2 for Staely. When he makes these comments, he's not just talking trash. He's reminding everyone of the massive gap between UConn's dynasty and everyone else trying to catch up. You know what's even more impressive about all this? Geno had been setting this trap all season long. In an interview with Dan Patrick, he revealed his pre-game strategy. We said, "I hope we make the NCAA tournament this year, not win at all, just qualify." That's genius-level mind games right there. By publicly lowering expectations, he removed all pressure from his squad while heaping it onto undefeated South Carolina. He even told his players, "Nobody gives a damn about who loses, they just care about winning. So why worry about losing because nobody cares?" With that simple mindset shift, he freed his team to play loose while South Carolina carried the weight of perfection on their shoulders. Think about it. This wasn't just Geno being Geno. Every comment, every interview, every pregame talk was part of an elaborate chess match he'd been orchestrating all season. His post-game comments weren't spontaneous. They were the checkmate move in a game Staely didn't even realize they were playing. And just like that, the Staely-Auriemma feud transforms from a friendly competition into something much more personal. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's psychological warfare at the highest level. The raw emotion Staely displayed, paired with Geno's calculated comments afterward, has created a powder keg that's ready to explode next season. What we're watching is the evolution of women's college basketball's greatest rivalry. The question hanging over the sport now is how Staely responds to this moment. Will she use it as fuel, or has Geno found her Achilles' heel? The next matchup between these coaching titans just became must-see TV.